Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Global Speedrun Association. Today we have another episode of the Super Mario Odyssey Any Percent Tournament. Today we have Stravos96 versus Dansta in the winners round 3. Today I am commentating with Electric. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Excited to start my day off with watching a great SMO race. And these guys, I think we got a pretty great matchup here. You know, it's the winners round 3. A lot of the kind of uneven matches have been filtered out already, so we should see a really great race here. We see Stravos practicing that wet FMS skip, or first moon skip, redundant acronym syndrome over here, but
yeah,
you know, I'm really excited for it. Should be a great race.
Yeah, and I do agree this will be a great race. Both these runners being very skilled at the game. And I believe Stravos having the best, somewhat best in the game currently.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how optimized some of these players, some of the best has become. So we see them readying up. And likewise, you too can ready up a little bit by visiting our sponsor, vi.gg. Type !bet in that chat. They have a special promo for GSA viewers. And I mean, if you really want to make the race that much more exciting for yourself, you can just go place a bet and all of a sudden you got a horse in this race. And it really does. It's kind of surprising how much it improves that bit of involvement.
Okay, we see both runners getting ready to start this race up. And we will be seeing the first kingdom here, Cap Kingdom, which just serves as like a tutorial type kingdom for a lot of players. Nothing too crazy going on here in the first kingdom.
Yep, but a surprising number of optimizations. For example, left side, you have a few opportunities to do bumps, frog vectoring, and of course, just the general frog movement. And you're going to be seeing some relatively precise platforming from these guys starting off. You know, once they've done the run a few times, it's not that much of an issue for them. But when you're first practicing this, it's really easy to dive just a bit too far to the left, bonk that fence, and bam, you've got a dead run already within the first minute.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't happen for either of these runners, though.
Let's hope Commentators Curse not in full effect this season. Both of them getting that dive perfectly, going right into this Cappy cutscene.
And now we will see both runners heading up to this lever, where the first optimization is. You're going to want to pull the lever and then go into first person here as quick as you can. And that skips the panning animation of this cutscene, saving about a second, I believe.
Yep, and really in this game, a lot of small optimizations like that are what have made the time go all the way down to just barely over an hour. So,
yeah. And now we're going to see both runners trying to roll over the water here, which is pretty tricky, rather than taking the platform.
And taking the platform has its own set of pitfalls. You can pretty easily bonk on the forward side of that platform, losing all your momentum. You see both of these guys going for pretty interesting routes on the frog section here. Most beginners wouldn't be going on that right kind of side of the platform. Both of them going for left side, and Dansta is clean, and so is Stravos, so they're going right into the topper fight.
Yeah, nothing too difficult here for most of these runners, as Cap is probably the most played kingdom for a lot of runners, so we should be seeing some clean movement here throughout the kingdom.
Exactly right. I mean, you got to go here at the start of every single run, so even if you don't practice it super regularly, with all the resets you're having to do, you get practice, even if you like it or not.
Yep, and now we're going to see the runners move on to the Cascade Kingdom, which has a trick we like to call FMS, or wet FMS, where we are going to be skipping the first moon because that is very slow and it has a lot of cutscenes associated with it, and it saves about 25 seconds, I believe.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's only possible on 1.0 since in future patches, Nintendo actually made it so that the Madame Brutal, the loading zone for that fight doesn't actually spawn until you've collected that first moon. So both our guys on 1.0 to be able to avoid that.
Yeah, 1.0 not being too difficult of a version of the game to get. All you gotta do is just, a lot of people choose to just downgrade the Switch by just factory resetting it. That seems to be the easiest way to get the version of the game.
Yeah, you do unfortunately have to get the physical cartridge with 1.0 on it in order to get that version nowadays, but that's no problem for either of our runners. Going for a nice dino skip. We see a little bit of a difference in setup. Dansta going for an even faster setup. And let's see if they can get this fast brutal fight. This can be fairly difficult. If you miss this Oh, and they're actually going around the back, probably just to make absolutely certain that the fast kill goes through.
Yeah, because you need to make sure you get as far away from the boss as possible, and you make sure you have enough room. So sometimes just going to a different part of the arena definitely helps with that.
Yes, it is possible to get the quick kill standing in that first position, but it's a lot more difficult. You absolutely have to get the hat bonked off with the cappy throw that you do right before jumping on top of the chain chomp. And that can be pretty difficult to get, honestly. If you throw cappy just a bit too early or not quite at the right angle, they'll slip right by to the chain chomp, and bam, if you're standing right in front of Brutal, you're going to have to go all the way around her in chain chomp in order to actually bonk her with it. So good showing from both our guys, and nice strat moving to that other side.
Both runners being completely synced, leaving the boss right here. Very impressive start for both of them.
Absolutely right. Now we're about to see them go into the last 2 moons of this kingdom. Normally, for people that don't do FMS, they end up just collecting this moon on top of this cliff here, but both these guys are going to be going for an optimization. After they collect this moon, they'll be going down to the treasure chest moon under the bridge, and then attempting to clip through the ceiling to get back to the Odyssey as fast as possible.
Weird choice from Stravos there. After getting, or right before the cliff moon there, Stravos chose to not do a spin pound at all and just chose to do a normal ground pound.
Ooh, both of our players not quite getting that clip. Unfortunately, you only have one opportunity at it since the moon cutscene is instrumental in getting that clip.
Yeah, not too big of a time loss though, as I believe that chest clip right there only says about 2 seconds max.
Yeah, could have easily made a pretty early lead for one of our guys, but unfortunately both of them missing it. Not to worry though, there's a lot of stuff coming up that gives a lot of opportunities to gain leads. We're going right now into the first, what I kind of consider real kingdom of the game, Sand Kingdom. This is where stuff heats up. You're spending about 6-7 minutes here, and there's a lot to cover within that short span of time.
Yeah, and I believe since both of these runners are on version 1.0 of the game, we should be seeing some Sphinx clip action.
Yep, far easier on 1.0 than on later versions, and that Sphinx clip saves a pretty considerable amount of time. You don't have to watch the Sphinx cutscene, you don't have to sink Mario below the sand to get that secret moon, so it definitely saves a lot of time.
And I should just correct you there, Sphinx clip is actually not possible in any version but 1.0, I believe.
Oh, okay, that's my bad. I had remembered that Snow Clip was possible on 1.2, just a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it's not. Sphinx clip is like one of the roll cancel clips that's impossible on any other version other than 1.0.
The more you know.
This is an incredibly close early game here for both these runners. They're both staying pretty much synced throughout this early game. This is incredible.
Getting that blind roll into that pipe there, they've had to practice that a lot of times, since if your angle is just slightly off, or you roll just at the wrong time, you'll end up actually missing the pipe, or even in worst case bonking on that pipe.
Now both runners rolling up to the top of this hill here. There is a moon that you can ground pound to get right here at the top of the hill. And Stravos trying to go for the spin pound there, making it look a lot cleaner than Dansta, saving just that little bit of time. Now both runners heading up to the top of the archery here to set up for a strat that we like to call the Ram strat, which has been known for a very long time. And what you wanted, I'll explain actually once these runners get a little bit closer, but what you want to do is you want to go into a triple jump here, land on the top of this railing here, and then you want to do a long jump. Stravos trying to go for the ice variety here, where you do a spin jump. You want to throw up throw cappy, home into it right before you click the moon.
Oh no, Stravos actually getting the home early there.
Yeah.
Dansta, meanwhile, getting it absolute perfectly. So Dram strat relies on delaying that capture until just after you collect the moon, and missing it can cost a pretty considerable amount of time.
Yeah, especially if you capture the bullet bill early. If you miss the bullet bill capture entirely, I believe that's a little bit better than what Stravos did there, but capturing it early is definitely a huge time loss.
Absolutely there. And one thing to mention to our newer viewers, you're going to be seeing a lot of spin pounds. Whenever you do a spin jump, going down to a ground pound is instantaneous, rather than a normal ground pound that takes about a second to complete. And the game allows you to buffer a spin jump, or referred to as a bump, after basically any cutscene. So anytime you see like a moon collection, these guys are going to be spinning their stick as fast as they can to hopefully get 2 complete circles, so that once the cutscene is over, they'll immediately be able to get a spin jump. So Dansta going for that secret moon first. Doesn't look like he's Yeah, not going for that double clip.
Yeah, he did go for
Stravos,
double clip. You missed it. Both runners are going for double clip, I believe.
Commentator too busy explaining basic techniques to actually notice what's going on right in front of his very eyes, but Stravos with that beautiful double clip definitely saw that. We're seeing a pretty early lead from Dansta, mainly due to that failed dram strat on Stravos' side.
Yeah, definitely nothing that Stravos can't make up for. There's still so much time left to save in the run.
Absolutely right. And we see Dansta getting Jaxie skip right there. Looks kind of difficult, but once you get that rhythm timing down, it's fairly easy.
Yeah, both runners are just trying to finish off the kingdom here. Dansta going for what we like to refer to as the nipple cactus, grabbing this moon nice and easy, nothing too difficult there.
And you actually see him doing a bit of camera manipulation there so that when the moon cutscene is over, Mario's facing a perfect direction to execute a dive and go right on over here to this moon and also for the bird moon here.
Yeah, if you choose to do the double clip variety, it's going to be very crucial that you don't mess anything up. And Stravos actually messed up the bullet bill section a little bit, so we'll have to see where the bird's going to be for him. Hopefully, yeah, he can definitely make this bird work. But yeah, if you make any mistakes after you do the double clip, it's very hard to get that bird in an optimal location.
Exactly right. But this is the fastest route through this kingdom as compared to the bird first routes or some of the other varieties. And of course, due to them using Dram Strat, they did not collect that moon on top of where that bullet bill launcher is that they used Dram Strat on. So getting this Notes moon, a very nice backup for that, I guess you could say. You know, does it?
Notes actually being the fastest moon other than the crate moon. As long as you do it as cleanly as both of these runners did here, you'll be saving upwards of like a second or two.
Yeah, looks like both of them got the double spin throw, which is pretty well the most you could ask for in a race. It is possible to do it with a single spin throw, but pretty difficult. So Dansta going to be moving on now into Lake Kingdom. You know, you have a little bit of slowness in the run now, unless these guys decide to go really crazy and go for Lake Clip, which I'd actually kind of expect from Stravos at least.
We'll see what happens with Lake Clip being a very risky clip in the Lake Kingdom, and it would not be too surprising if they chose to skip it just to play the race safe.
We have actually seen it in races before, though. I forget which racer did it, but one of the previous races in this tournament, one of the players did actually go for it.
It's actually been a couple races, I believe. This Lake Clip being something that's very commonly used in runs at the very top level, like world record level.
Yep, so the traditional route, you're going to be seeing them go over this hill right here and going into that zipper moon. Now, the normal route after the zipper moon, you'll exit right back out and go ahead and capture a cheat sheet. But if they do Lake Clip, they'll be using this corner that Dansta is passing right now to actually clip into the wall and go collect one of the moons down in the swimming section. Okay, Dansta's skipping Lake Clip. A good decision for a race, especially if he's not confident in that Lake Clip. So you're seeing the traditional route from Dansta. Grab this moon, go ahead and grab Dory's moon, and then move on over into the pillar, and then finally Rango.
Yeah, and it looks like Stravos is choosing to skip it as well, as it's very risky. Good to play this race safe and not lose a ton of time to Lake Clip.
Exactly. Not a bad decision at all. I mean, Lake Clip, even though 1.0 seems to be fairly forgiving as far as clips go, Lake Clip is definitely a very precise clip. And we see Dansta here. This moon in particular, nobody really knows why, but that moon actually lets you manipulate the camera. And so he does so in order to accomplish this fish jump here to get right up to this Rango platform as quickly as he can. And now you see the quick Rango strat here. Very easy to execute so long as you get that triple jump dive right in the first place. You really have to do that first jump input just before the screen fades into the Rango fight.
And now we're seeing on Dansta's screen the whole reason why Lake Clip exists. This Rango fight has a ton of cutscenes associated with it, and Lake Clip completely skips this boss fight, making it so you don't have to watch any of these cutscenes.
Correct. Instead, you end up getting the moon that is normally reserved for the secret painting, one of the moons down in the swimming section that most players go through casually. And I forget what the last moon is that they grab, but there's one final moon that they grab to replace this Rango fight.
Yeah. They grab the hidden lady in the underwater city, whatever you want to call it.
Yep, and that's after the pillar moon, and so after they grab that, even though it's kind of out of the way in most routes, they're able to immediately teleport back to the Odyssey.
Yeah, which skips a lot of cutscenes.
Now, we're going to be seeing them go into Wooded Kingdom now, the bane of so many runners' existences. I don't know about you, but I personally have had to put so much time in a Wooded Kingdom just to always mess up something substantially in runs. You've got that double pipe section, or sorry, you've got the flooded pipe section with 2 moons. You've got the flower skip. You've got little optimizations inside that flower tower. There's a lot of ground to cover, and especially if these guys go with the nut clip route, those out of bounds sections can be exceptionally treacherous, and you really only have one big shot at them.
Yeah, because if you more times than not, if you fail a nut clip, if you fail the out of bounds section or not that's specified, you're gonna be falling all the way down into deep woods, and that's losing a lot of time.
Yep, no good backup for that. No super fast moons in deep woods, so they just are trying to get out of there as quickly as possible, wasting over a minute. And you can't teleport out of deep woods, unfortunately. So they got to grab those seeds, got to go ahead and grab one of those vines and ride it up, seeing that cutscene. So we see Dansta not having any troubles at all with the rabbit, and neither does Stravos. Picking up a rock early to go ahead and break this rolling rock. And man, I wish I'd known about that whenever I played this game casually. I hated the rolling rock moons because of how much you had to kick that rock. And of course, as soon as I see Small Ant's guide, I'm like, you could just break it with another rock? What?
Yeah, now we see Dansta moving up to the nut clip section here. Hopefully he's able to pull off a nut clip and not have too much troubles with it. We will see right here though. Looks like he may have gone the clip. I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, he clipped out of bounds here. Now let's see if we can get this out of bounds section good here without too much trouble. Struggling a little bit on the wall, but making it work. Grabbing the moon. And then making it back in bounds. Let's see if Stravos can do the same thing here over on the left. Stravos getting out of bounds. Climbing up the wall. Ooh, falling. Ooh, is he gonna be able to salvage that? Oh my god, was that close? He's able to salvage that. Just barely.
That's definitely rough. Not quite as rough as falling into the deep woods, but still a rough way to start that trick. But fortunately, getting all the way back in bounds. And like you said earlier, Stravos with probably the best sum of best out of any runner, and yet even he still has trouble with that out of bounds section, as shown right here.
Yeah.
I mean, Dansta made it look easy, but a lot of precise movement that you're doing relatively blind. All you can really see is Mario's shadow there.
Yeah, it's just a lot of like memorization of all the inputs and all that.
Yep. In Stravos, you see that optimization there, diving at the nut moon, and while he's executing that dive, you can also buffer a spin jump there. So as soon as he lands on that nut after that dive, he immediately is able to do a spin pound, breaking the moon almost instantly, saving about a second over having to do a ground pound.
Now, Stravos choosing to play this movement here safe. There's a strat where you can do a spin pound roll cancel over the deep woods there, but he chose to do a long jump, which is just slightly slower.
Beautiful poison jump from Stravos. That is a frame perfect trick. If you jump on the very first frame that Mario makes contact with the poison, it does not damage him. But Stravos falling all the way down after this moon, wasting a couple seconds that he does not really have at this point. You know, there's a lot of race ahead of him, but starting off with this much of a deficit is not what you want to see. He's going to be grabbing this moon right as Dansta gets out of that cutscene. And so he's using an instant roll cancel to go ahead and do flower skip. Nicely executed. This triple jump is really no problem as long as they get that angle on that last jump. And let's see how Stravos executes his own flower skip here. And using that nut clip route, they're able to actually skip the Spirit fight, which, again, fight's fairly short, but cutscene is just crazy long. Spirit's got to really emphasize the fact that, hey, you really hurt me, which, I mean, I wouldn't have really hurt you if you hadn't been shooting literal poison at me. Come on, man.
Ooh, this is very unfortunate. Dansta losing the upright here and trying to make some sort of a backup here. I've never seen that before. I guess he just accidentally bumped the capture button there.
Yeah, it could be. It's honestly, and I'm not sure if either of these guys running on Joy-Cons, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to accidentally hit buttons. I have a lot of problems accidentally hitting the screenshot button on my Joy-Con. So we see Dansta with that roll right there. You have to execute that roll well in order to have enough speed to move all the way to this segment. So you're going to be getting another nut moon that you normally don't see in most beginner routes, and then they'll be going ahead and doing those submerged pipes. So the reason that they put that last is they don't have to deal with the exit cutscene and exiting out of the pipe. They're just able to immediately teleport back to the Odyssey. Now, let's see if Dansta's actually able to go for the early cycle here. There's two dominant cycles that you're wanting to go for. The first one has a pretty difficult jump at the end to escape that circle of fuzzies. The other one requires very precise movement through this first section, which it looks like Dansta got, but it leaves you with a much easier jump to execute at the very end. Looks like Dansta's opting for the former route here. So you're going to be doing a...
Okay, Dansta making that work. Not the cycle I don't think he wanted, but he definitely made it work. Good improv.
Yeah, still fantastic.
Yeah.
Stravos making up a considerable amount of time by getting that first try. That's what that strat should look like. And even though both these guys making that final wall jump look easy, it can be pretty difficult in order to actually get that right.
Yeah, getting through that section without taking damage is definitely very difficult.
Oh, absolutely. So both these guys now going ahead and moving on into Cloud Kingdom. Not a whole lot to say here. I mean, Bowser, you know, as is tradition, he tries to fight Mario in an arena specifically constructed for him to lose. I don't get it. He must just be the worst supervillain in history, because most of the time supervillains are defeated by giving a monologue right before they kill the hero. But in this case, Bowser's actually trying to fight you. He just decided to pick the one venue he has a severe disadvantage in.
Okay, hopefully all the runners can get the tricks here in Cloud Kingdom. All the tricks here just revolve around capturing Bowser's cap as soon as he throws it, using backflips and cap throws.
Yep, and you'll likely also see from this level of gameplay, they're going to be doing a small optimization after throwing Bowser against that spike wall. They're going to try to move as many platforms away from the platform they start on as possible. Bowser's programmed to actually... Okay, nice. Bowser's programmed to jump to the opposite platform of wherever Mario's standing. And if you're able to move over one or two platforms to the left, two being very difficult, but one fairly manageable, the jump will actually be shorter since he's not quite jumping as far.
It's unfortunately messing up the second cycle there. What many people can like to think is the hardest part of this fight, just that second cycle of the fight. Getting that back was very, very difficult. Very unfortunate.
And we see Stravos with the damage strat that pretty well avoids having to deal with the potential of Bowser re-grabbing the cap, because if you try to capture his cap too close to him, he'll actually re-grab it from you. And we see Stravos with a pretty substantial lead now.
Yeah, just like that, the lead changed from Dansta to Stravos. Like we said, the race is not decided at any point. Anything can happen.
All the way through the escape. I mean, we've even seen people die on the pillar section of the escape. So now these guys moving into Lost Kingdom, you're going to see a lot of technical movement in a very short period of time. And the biggest thing here is if they one false move and they could very easily fall into that instant death goop. So Stravos going for that pretty difficult strat on the meme tree involving the Cappy jump and gets it really handily. Dansta going for the same, actually opting to go on the upper ledge rather than the lower. Definitely a bit riskier, but definitely paid off for him as well. The traditional beginner way to do that is you go all the way over to where you're able to look directly down that branch that they jumped off of, and then go ahead and ground pound, bounce off Cappy once, and then execute a triple jump off that branch. Waste a few more seconds, but much more reliable than the setup they used if you're at that beginner level without this consistency of these guys.
Now we're going to see them grab a moon on the tree here and then step on Klepto's platform. Too much just confuse Klepto. Klepto thinks that he has captured Cappy, but indeed he has not. So we can step anywhere on the kingdom here without getting Cappy stolen.
Yep. For those who may have kind of forgotten, in this kingdom, you're intended to lose Cappy to Klepto at the very beginning, and you have to deal with a lot of the kingdom without Cappy, and then finally you get him back after a pretty long cutscene. These guys use very specific movement. That meme tree we mentioned earlier allows them to get up to a part of the level that Klepto doesn't actually have detection on. And by, like he said, moving onto that platform, you basically... Ooh! Stravos actually taking a death there after trying to get the cage moon rather than the alternate ground pound cage moon.
Dansta activating Klepto. I believe he did not step on Klepto's platform there. That should be the only explanation for that.
Yeah, because whenever you step on Klepto's platform, it makes him think that you're midway through the standard sequence, but... Looks like he just... I mean, there's no way that zone should have been active otherwise.
Yeah.
Both these guys having pretty substantial losses in Lost Kingdom already. I think Stravos is better than Dansta's, because he's still having to deal with that cutscene. You're seeing the way you're intended to do this casually, just bopping Klepto like that. Stravos with that beautiful execution of the Under the Bridge Moon and even saving Mario. Very nice. In Small Ants tutorials, he actually recommends you just take that death there. It'll warp you right back to the Odyssey anyway. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, but taking the death there definitely being a couple seconds slower.
Exactly right. If you're able to get that saving grace, then you really want it. Dansta also with a clean grab on that moon. Let's see if he's able to save Mario as well. A really rough mistake from Dansta. Must have just barely missed that platform because it looked like he executed the platforming really well.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Now we see both runners moving on to the Metro Kingdom. And this kingdom is split into two different sections, the nighttime section and the daytime section. The nighttime section being that you have to kill the boss we like to call Mecha Wiggler. Ideally, you want to kill this boss in 2 cycles, knocking out all of his eyeballs on the second cycle before hopefully not going on to the 3rd cycle.
Exactly. It's definitely doable. You have a decent window to do it, but the fight's always random, and depending on what exact pattern he gives you, especially if he loops around himself, the game's hitboxes don't work entirely correctly if he does a loop around himself, so you really don't want to see that. Stravos not opting for the wall slide, but still getting that canopy jump. I mean, that shows the level of skill with these guys. He's able to land exactly where he wants to on that canopy to know that he's going to get enough height afterward. So Night Metro, I really think is the more risky section of the 2 metros because a lot of mistakes here cost you so much time, especially inside of City Hall. The absolute worst one, of course, being the leap of faith failing and you having to entirely redo the inside of City Hall.
Yeah, that definitely being great time loss. Probably upwards of a minute or more as you have to redo this entire tower.
Stravos executing that triple jump strat to go ahead and make this early cycle on this platform, not having to deal with the triple jump across that first layer and then having to get a wall kick. So we see Stravos with clean execution so far. He's moving up into the leap of faith. Now, you have no control over this camera right here. You're having to make sure that, okay, getting that good cappy bounce there, he's good to go. We'll see if Dansta can match that. But yeah, you actually have to manually move the control stick between the cappy throw and the dive to make sure Mario's diving in the correct direction. You know, I really wish you could just release the control stick to neutral and that Mario would dive straight for cappy, but unfortunately, the developers not being that considerate of us. Stravos with that nice first cycle here. Even though it's okay to kind of miss a couple of shots and make him move around a bit more, by getting that quick shot that Stravos did, he's able to do this manipulation here to make Mecha Wiggler go on the shortest possible path. So he's going to go ahead and move over to this adjacent corner here, and that's going to force him to effectively cut 2 corners. And then he's going to move to this wall here because no matter what after this first cycle, Wiggler is going to be moving to this wall.
Okay, now we see Stravos going into the 2nd phase of the boss fight. Hopefully he's able to shoot every single eye here and not have to move on to the 3rd cycle.
Now, are they eyes? Are they his energy source? Ooh, getting a pretty bad pattern with those multiple loops over Wiggler. That's going to be rough, but it looks like he's able to still clutch that 2 cycle really handily. What you really don't want to see is 3 or 4 separate groupings of those. Any shot that you hit will also destroy the adjacent orbs, but you know, if you have 3 or so just spread out across his whole body, it can be very difficult to hit them in time to get the 2 cycles. Dansta with much better RNG, able to go ahead and get the kill, looks like on his first pass. That's what you really want to see, is being able to aim just at one segment of Wiggler's body and shooting with such a rhythm that you get the entire segment without ever having to move, because these tank controls are notoriously bad.
Yeah, but most runners use most controls for this fight to make it just that much better.
Yeah, they can be kind of awkward at first from personal experience, and it's a little bit of a trade-off too. Most runners will turn the motion controls onto high in order to do this fight better, but if you do so, you also have to remember that all the motion controls are set to high sensitivity, so any slight movement or twitch from your hands could also just initiate a cappy throw at random, which I've experienced numerous times through runs.
Okay, Stravos moving on to Scoop Flip here. Let's see if he's able to get the drive-by. Scoop Flip just being where you make the scooter hug the wall of the cage here to just clip into that moon and collect it very cleanly like Stravos did there.
Yeah, the other method is to go ahead and hit the scooter just inside of the corner that you saw Stravos drive right by. And that way you're able to make sure that whenever you get past that corner, you're as close to that right-hand wall as possible. But interestingly, a number of runners have said that the drive-by setup is actually easier for them.
Yeah, Dansta getting that drive-by as well. Both runners having a very clean run so far, other than Lost Kingdom.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Stravos really feeling himself in this Metro Kingdom. Another slight optimization is by going off that flick and landing right on that bench. The fall kind of shaking animation from Mario ends up going right into sitting down with that bench friend.
Now we see Stravos moving on to the early musicians route. This saving about a second because you can avoid one loading zone, which has a very short, like 1 second long cutscene that we skip here.
Yep, and kind of your basic metric of how well you're doing in this kingdom right now is where exactly the taxi is after you hit the bench friends, and if it's not in the greatest of positions, it probably also won't be in the greatest position for this section here, but both of our guys seeming to be able to avoid that taxi handily. So Stravos moving on to this garden here. Nice clean movement.
Yeah, this game being very high movement intensive. If you mess up like one piece of movement, a lot of stuff can go very wrong here.
Exactly right. Fortunately, not a whole lot of timing cycles you have to hit, but again, that taxi can get in your way if you just go a little bit too slowly.
Now we're going to be seeing Stravos warping up to the top of the tower here to grab some moons before moving on to the people's room.
And Dansta having a little bit of trouble hitting that broken Wiggler segment. You know, maybe for some reason he feels a bit of a sentimental attachment to it. Ooh, Stravos actually missing the long jump going off of the building here. He's still gonna, very nice backup getting over to this dumpster here, but that could have been very rough. If he would have fallen a bit further, he would have had to go all the way to the ground in order to get that lightning orb and in order to transport his way back up. Well, not all the way to the ground, but likely so.
Yeah, or you could just choose to warp back to the checkpoint.
True, true. Probably would have been his better option.
Ooh, taking a bonk.
And this section, a lot of runners make this look easy, but you have to practice your movement getting up this tower a lot. There's a lot of little things that can cause exactly what happened to Stravos here. Nice spin pound to go ahead and go into this moon, not even needing to dive. And not opting for the Luigi coins. In one of the DLC updates, is it present in 1.0?
No, it's only present in 1.2 because it hasn't existed yet in the 1.0 game.
Right, Stravos taking a bunk right on that door frame there. 1.2 runners have the advantage of being able to do a ground pound right after this moon. And in one of the news updates, Nintendo let players know about a Luigi 200 coin bonus that is up there. So we've seen some players in previous races go ahead and collect that, and they don't have to worry at all about Snow Kingdom. But as long as these guys don't take a death, both of them having perfect coin counts, Dansta taking that bonk right by that trash can. A lot of the time you see people taking bonks on the trash can, but Dansta deciding to give the trash can a break today.
Yeah, like you were saying with the Luigi hint art, that's really only used in 1.2 because 1.2 runners choose to skip the Sphinx room entirely.
Yep, and that Sphinx room gives a surprising number of coins. You wouldn't exactly think it just by looking at the stacks of coins, but you can easily go from, like, say, 60 to 140, just like that.
Now, both runners moving on to Snow Kingdom. Snow Kingdom being a very scary kingdom because it has a trick that most runners dread, Snowdram, where if you fail it, you're losing upwards of like 15 seconds.
Yep. Now, the traditional beginner route, instead of doing Snowdram, they go into a third of... so the way Snow Kingdom's set up, you have those 4 kind of challenge rooms you have to complete before you can go into the Snow Bowl. But in this case, they go into 3 of those rooms in a beginner route, collect just 1 from the last one, teleport back to the Odyssey. But with Snowdram route, they only go in 2 of these rooms, get the Shot Moon later on, and whenever they finish out the kingdom, after getting that Shot Moon, they warp back to the Odyssey and then execute an exceptionally precise jump to be able to get to the secret panning platform.
Yeah.
Now, Stravos going ahead and, you know, maybe spelling death for Toad here. He's got himself packed into that wall with that snow wall there, and that's what you're told to do in emergency situations. You want to kind of surround yourself with snow because snow's not going to get any colder than 32 degrees, but you know, the actual wind, that can get below 0 nice and easy. Toad got the right idea here with his shelter, but Mario just saying, hey, I want my moon.
Okay, we're seeing Stravos going for the boxes moon here, where you got a wall jump against the wall with the boxes, but Stravos choosing to avoid the wall jumping at all and just jumping on top of the boxes and doing a quick backflip.
Yep, and here's the real big advantage of the Snowdram route. In the beginner route, at this point, you're going into the shop, then going up to this moon, but they're able to execute that really nice fast movement just straight to that umbrella to go ahead and get up to this moon. And now you're going to see them going into the blower room. I know these guys have a technical name.
Oh, Stravos actually trying to go for that moon clip there. There's a moon clip right there with that moon where you can clip into the wall and do a spin pound roll cancel to skip this hallway entirely, but he's missing the moon clip. That moon clip is not very important though, as it only saves a second and very few runners choose to go for it.
Yeah, and if they do go for it, a lot of times it's just kind of with the hope that it works, but with the expectation it won't. Stravos nicely getting by these Typhus here. That first cycle getting onto that block is really nice to get, and it looked like he actually got the added momentum. If you land on that platform early enough, you can execute a ground pound jump, and if performed properly, you keep all the momentum of the sliding block. Dansta doing the same without the ground pound jump, so Commentator not realizing that there was no ground pound on Stravos' end. These guys, obviously pros. I mean, I can't even manage to get onto that wooden block to do the ground pound jump, much less do what these guys just did.
Ooh, Stravos almost dying there trying to get the pipe stuff.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting because all you have to do to get into this pipe afterwards is just do a quick jump dive. That's it. No control stick movement required whatsoever.
Well, for the pipe suck there, runners choose to go for a spin pound.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
In order to get that sucking motion as quickly as possible.
Ooh, Stravos choosing not to go for the optimal bounce there. Very interesting. Stravos is going for the triple jump over the void here to collect the last story moon before moving on to the shop and Snowdram.
Yep. Ooh, very nice from Dansta, actually grabbing the two Goombas' attention and then getting the icicle. Normally you grab one of the Goombas, get the other's attention, then grab the icicle. So nice little optimization there. Doesn't save a whole lot of time, but it's really just cool to see. Dansta also going for that triple jump. The triple jump gives you a much easier time of getting across that void, but it's a lot harder to set up than the traditional long jump.
Yeah, because of how slippery the ice is, it's definitely hard to get that roll cancel.
Exactly right. I mean, the slippery ice is just insane. The ice physics in this game, you know, there's a big reason why they let Goombas not slip on ice. They really want you to use them.
Now let's pay attention to Stravos' screen here, as we're going to be seeing him set up for a Snowdram and hopefully get it on the first try here.
And let's see if he actually goes for the fast setup here.
Yeah, so pretty much what that fast setup is I'm pretty sure if you just go into first person and then don't press your control stick at all, you can set it up without having to do anything. And Stravos getting this trick first try, making it look easy. Hopefully Dansta can do the same here.
Yeah, definitely hoping for him since, I mean, Stravos already going into that exiting cutscene. Dansta not even doing the Snowdram attempt yet. Taking a little bit of extra time to set up. See if that pays off for him. And it does. Very nice. And yeah, as you can see there, they're doing literally everything they can to get across there. They're building their momentum up with that spin pound roll. Getting that first Cappy jump doesn't exactly count as your standard jump, so he's able to go ahead and get an additional cap bounce midair. They're using the advantage of when Cappy comes back to you after that first Cappy bounce, you're able to execute a little bit of a jump in the air to just go a little bit further horizontally. Just everything comes together perfectly as long as they do everything perfectly in order to make that jump possible.
Now we see Stravos just landing in the Seaside Kingdom here. A lot of people like to refer to this kingdom as the Vacation Kingdom, but the first 3 moons here are an absolute nightmare if you want to do them optimally, as we see Stravos bonking here right at the very beginning, showing my point exactly.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting how in just a minute or two, you're seeing some of the longest jumps in the game here. As in, right there, getting that moon on top of the tower. The optimal way of doing that is doing a backflip, cap jump, throwing your cap at the wall, doing a wall kick, and then finally doing another cap jump to get actually on top of, cap throw, then dive to get on top of that platform. And watch Dansta doing it here, and he's actually opting for the sidewall setup there. But, you know, the developers of this game adding so much jump tech, and it works really well. Stravos having a bit of problem getting in here, Normally this section is intended to be done just with Gashin, but of course with some nice jumps we're able to do it really handily.
Gashin? I've never heard anyone pronounce it that way before.
It's Gushin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Gashin.
Commentator having his own custom pronunciations for various terms, that's okay.
Now we see Stravos going for the rocket fire reset, where if you do a spin throw into a ground pound there, you can actually extend the rocket fire to go longer, but you have to do it one more time here before the moon. Is he going to be able to get that? Okay, he is going to be able to get that. I'm pretty sure as long as your cap is not on Mario, whenever you click the moon, you're going to be able to extend this rocket flower into this other rocket flower to capture a fish here with the spin throw. The normal way that not professional runners choose to use is by using a Gushin, but you can skip the Gushin entirely by doing this rocket flower refresh right here.
Yep, and even though the Gushin movement is fast, Rocket Flower is that much faster, and you don't have to deal with the capturing animation.
Rest of the Kingdom from here on out with the fish being really easy for most runners.
Dansta accidentally ground pounding on that ledge right there, losing a couple of seconds. And you're exactly right. Just like, you know, watching 70-star runs, DDD is a bit of a easy section where you just got that slow movement throughout the water. So too is Seaside Kingdom. You know, they're grabbing this Dory Moon here, and then they really don't have a whole lot else. They got the Blaine Northern Reaches, and then got to go down into that moon inside the wall. And it's just really worth mentioning, like, the addition of Cappy into this game has added just so much platforming potential. It's kind of ridiculous. You know, if you think about it, like SM64, just pure Mario platforming. Sunshine, they tried to add that element with Flood to kind of give you a little bit more options. And for some players, it works really well. For some, not so much. And then Galaxy, of course, they have all the gravity mechanics. But here, just by adding Cappy in and the ability to roll, I mean, I've thought constantly that this actually kind of exemplifies also what an ideal 3D Sonic game would look like with some of those rolls. You're able to move really, really quickly, and the movement is very satisfying, but also not uncontrollable.
Yeah, because if you're a casual player, you would know that rolling is kind of scary because more times than not you would bonk. But if you're a speedrunner like these people here, you would know about the roll cancel tech, so you can stop rolling whenever you want just by doing a quick roll cancel.
Yep, and standard roll canceling, pretty easy. You're just hitting jump and cap throw at the same time. Instant roll canceling, of course, a bit more of a problem since you're having to instantly roll then cancel. So hit cap throw and then cap throw jump simultaneously, all within the space of a few frames. And so Stravos now entering Luncheon Kingdom. Now, even though the lava is not instant death, there's a lot that can go wrong here. These guys opting for, of course, the salt pile setup. This is the fastest way to get up to this moon, but also the riskiest. One thing that you see a lot of other runners do is go ahead and move to the platform just to the left and do a backflip off of it, then do the same setup of cap throws and jumps. Gives you a little bit more height onto the platform up there, and also is just easier to set up generally, but of course wastes a little bit of time since you're moving over and having to stop yourself to do that backflip.
Okay, I would say Stravos moving on to Spirit here. This fight not being too difficult at all, just gotta bop off his hat and then hit him on the head. Just being a pretty generic Mario boss. Nothing too special here.
Exactly, and we see Stravos going for the trailless right here. You can kind of look, normally, if you are a bit slower on jumping on Spirit's head during the interphase, you end up seeing just a little bit of a trail. Dansta getting it burned there at 1 HP. Okay, so no matter what, he's going to have to take that health reloaded animation here, which will waste a couple seconds. But then, I mean, he's just lucky he didn't take a death there. That would have been rough.
Well, yeah, it would have been rough, but it wouldn't have been too rough. He would have spawned pretty much right back up where he died, as the Odyssey being very close. That probably being one of the best spots to take a death in the kingdom.
That's definitely true, although, I mean, with how much of a deficit he already has, he was a whole Spirit fight behind. You know, you don't want to waste a whole lot of time, especially considering after this, really the main movement you've got is Bowser Kingdom, and that's it.
Yeah, Ruined Kingdom not being a spot to really make up much ground, as it's just a boss fight and that's it.
Exactly, and I mean, both of these guys, I'm sure, going for the optimal strats, which we'll explain more once we get into that kingdom. And I mean, Moon, once you get the jump vectoring down pat, it's really hard to do a whole lot wrong in Moon until the escape. So Stravos here going to be going for the spin pound and actually going for this route in front of the buildings, a little bit faster, but also a little bit more awkward. A lot of players will opt instead to go behind the buildings. You have a straight shot at that staircase, which is actually perfectly set up to give you a triple jump. And of course, when Mario's jumping with standard jumps, he's able to preserve all of his speed. So by doing that power roll and then going into those triple jumps, you're able to get across that distance very quickly.
Now we're going to be... Oh.
Dansta about to be joining him there. You're good. Commentators, suffering just a little bit from that Discord lag. If only the internet were truly instantaneous.
Now we see Stravos, I don't see it. He's not going for the camera manip, so he's actually missing the cycle there. You can actually manipulate the camera to make the Potoboo be on a cycle that you want to make, but if you don't go for the camera manip, it's very hard to make the cycle for the Potoboo to get it on the first go around there. Where if you make one mistake with movement, you're going to miss the cycle.
Yep, and we see him even taking a bonk on the door, and now actually opting for a bit of interesting camera movement, I guess, to escape the pan there, starting out this fork flicking section. And you see just pro movement right here. Watching any runner do this is impressive enough already, but this pro movement here, you can tell this guy has put hours into this room, and this is something that a lot of beginner runners, including myself, struggle a lot with, especially the up throw. Up throws can really be very non-intuitive, but, these guys have done so many of them, it's really second nature to them. And we see Stravos getting that little optimization, saves about 3 seconds. The gushing is programmed so that anytime you hop on a slope that's going upwards, you actually get a little bit more height. And it just so happens that the lava in that corner right there has a just very, very small upward slope. So Stravos taking advantage of that and boosting, landing right on that slope, and then jumping right back off of it. The other element is you have a bit more speed, if you have speed going into the jump, it'll give you even more height. We see Dansta getting the optimization too. So those things combined, it's a pretty precise trick that doesn't have a whole lot of leeway, but if you can get it, it's a nice little time save, because your other option is having to go all the way to the left to that little hump in the lava to go ahead and make that jump up. And like I said, waste about 3 or so seconds.
Now we see Dansta setting up for a trick with the turnip clip, where he just want to smush a pan bro in between a turnip in the cage here, so he can clip right through.
Yep, and again, another one of those 1.0 only clips, not possible in 1.2. I forget if it's because the moon is not actually active or if they've actually reinforced the barrier.
It's because the reason you can't do this on 1.2 is because whenever you try to put the turnip in the pan, the pan bro in between the turnip and the cage, he actually doesn't fall in between there like he does on 1.0.
Ah, I see. Now Stravos with this little optimization here, I for one thought casually you had to move the meat all the way over, but as Stravos proving here, you just got to bounce a couple of times, and that's enough to get that bird hungry.
Now we're going to be seeing if both runners move on to the Ruined Kingdom here. Ruined Kingdom not being too interesting as a kingdom, as most runners call it the side-scroller of Odyssey. Pretty much, there's no way to optimize this boss fight. Just got to go through it and kill the dragon as fast as you can. Hopefully not taking a death anywhere.
Yeah, the only real optimization you can do is by you taking advantage of the invincibility frames after taking damage to be on top of the dragon's head a little bit earlier than you're supposed to gain a second or two on the grab on those spikes. And there's another optimization. I doubt these guys will be going for it, and if they do, they may not get it. You can tilt Cappy in such a way that he'll be able to grab 2 of those spikes with 1 cap throw rather than just 1.
Yeah, I've seen that before, but I don't think that's too common of a strat. But we'll see what these runners choose to go for.
Exactly, and you have to remember those spikes are randomly generated, so there's no real way of knowing exactly where they'll be until you start this boss fight. And the side scroller of Odyssey, very, very accurate name.
I actually would like to correct you there. The swords that you pick out of the dragon's head are actually completely the same every fight. It's not
really?
RNG. Yeah, it's not RNG. It's the same every time.
Huh. A commentator apparently just that bad of a runner, thinking that they were actually different between runs. So Stravos entering this fight now. Since you just have to wait for him to shoot these saw blades at you, one optimization that they'll do is to go ahead and spawn a couple of the hearts on the stage. That way, after they do this damage to get those invincibility frames, they're able to go ahead and replenish back to full health to take all the danger out of this fight. So you see Stravos getting the best version of this strat. You want to land on top of the nose if possible.
Ooh, Stravos actually going for the spin pound there to get the ground pound there. Not many runners go for that, as because if you mess it up, you're just losing time on probably the easiest game in the run.
Exactly, and kind of another thing, once you get those hooks out of him, you're actually able to ground pound just on the edge of that shield there. Whenever I first started running, I actually thought that you had to wait for the shield to despawn, but no. As long as you get the ground pound right on the edge, you're able to go ahead and, like Stravos is doing right here, get that damage right as the shield comes up.
Okay, Stravos on the final phase of this dragon fight here. Like I said, nothing too difficult here. This is probably being the easiest kingdom in the run, so it's not very surprising that these top-level runners are not making any mistakes here.
Exactly right. Now here with all these different hooks in his head, and yeah, now that you mentioned it, I do see, yeah, it's definitely the same layout every time. That is my bad. I don't know why I thought they were always different.
Okay, Stravos killing the dragon there. Well, Dansta is moving on to the final phase.
Yeah, definitely not too hard. I mean, the perfect description, like I said, auto-scroller of Odyssey. Dansta doing a little bit of an optimization to be able to not worry at all about those saw blades, using the invis wall that's the barrier of this stadium to go ahead and execute some wall jumps just to make sure he's totally clear of those. I think I'm actually going to start doing that strat just because those 4 saw blades can be a little bit unpredictable.
I think that saw blades might move in the same location every time. I'm not too sure about that, though.
I believe they spawn in the same place every time, but they are homing in on Mario continuously, depending on where exactly you're located.
Okay.
And so Stravos now going to be moving into Bowser Kingdom, and you know, unlike a lot of this run where we see strats that look kind of easy, but they're actually a lot more complicated than you'd think, the very opening of Bowser Kingdom is exactly the opposite. It's going to look like some really nice fast movement here, and literally all you have to do is hold down the shoulder button and just shake the controller for those power rolls. The only little optimization you can do is getting a bump right at the start, and that's it.
Okay, Stravos rolling right past these Goombas here. Like I said, nothing too difficult at the beginning here.
Yeah, letting go of that roll right on that second to last step so that when Mario stands up, he can immediately jump to go ahead and capture that light orb. What's the technical name for that? I know there is one. I'm just not sure what it is.
I forget right now. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah.
Some players actually opt for another alternate route. Whenever they go past those pokies at the beginning, they'll actually go ahead and grab the moon behind that wall there. And it allows them to skip another moon later on in Bowser.
Yeah, one of the most notorious players that goes for that is actually the current world record holder, Econ, I believe. It's not any slower or faster, though, of a moon grab other than the crate moon, I believe. I think that's what moon they skip, the crate moon at the end, to go for, if they choose to go for this Pokio Jam here.
You know, kind of interesting to point out, you know, you may kind of think, or you may be thinking to yourself, you know, there's a lot of strats named after this Dram guy. That's actually just because Dram has expressed before that he kind of hates strats being named after him. So, obviously, as the internet is wont to do, they now name pretty much every strat after him. Stravos missing that Shard Moon. Cappy seems to have a pretty... Oh, and actually getting a bonk on that Spiky, too. You know, wasting a decent amount of time, and it's not all showing just yet. He's also going to be losing time to having to wait for that recharge animation after the next moon grab. But Cappy has a very surprising homing range whenever he's grabbing these shards here. Stravos very close to death here, having to wait this bomb out just to be safe.
Yeah, very unfortunate shards for Stravos. He lost a ton of time there.
Yeah, definitely giving Dansta a pretty good opportunity to catch up. Dansta playing it safe with his shards. And you see Stravos going a little bit too far out on that first shard or second shard, while Dansta going a bit closer than you have to, but definitely seems to have paid off. Dansta going through without any damage, almost to the end here.
Dansta opting to go for that camera pin there, just saving a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's very surprising how much you can save just by manipulating the camera to make those cutscenes happen just a bit quicker.
Stravos getting a shot we like to call Bowser Jam here, where you can throw your cap right before the electric wire there, and warp to it right after collecting the moon.
Yep, and let's see if Dansta happens to go for it. There's another setup where you can go at that moon on the roof from the front. Dansta is going for it. Saves just a little bit of time since you're not having to kind of do that weird right angle. You're just going in a straight diagonal line right to that moon and then right over to the electric wire. Now, Stravos in the Harriet fight.
Yeah, I should mention that Stravos is going for the first-person first strats here. We can use first-person to hit the bombs right back into Harriet's face the second she throws them, saving a little bit of time throughout the boss fight.
I mean, he's an insane runner, runs on Joy-Cons, has just an absolutely ridiculous level of gameplay, and those little optimizations like that first-person camera and Harriet save a surprising amount of time. Now, are you one of those that goes for Harriet first or Topper first?
I actually choose to go for Harriet first. This is what I've always done.
Yeah, some people seem to feel pretty strongly about that. Myself, I go for Topper first, just kind of get Topper out of the way. I find Harriet being just a little bit easier. You see Dansta here going for the more traditional way of getting these Harriet shots. You wait right towards you, and then right whenever she preps to throw those bombs, you move in one of the two diagonals to go ahead and throw the bomb right back at her. It makes it a lot more reliable to hit those bombs right back in her face, because just a little bit of a misalignment can cause them to just swing wide in one direction.
Now we're going to be seeing Stravos grab this moon here, and then go for a very scary moon, the crate moon I was talking about earlier, where if you mess up this moon, you're going to be falling right into the void, and you're going to be dying a very slow and painful death.
Yep, the death plane being very far down in this part of the stage, so this is not a fall death you want to take. Sorry, I just wanted to remain silent for just a moment. I absolutely adore the music at the very beginning of this section. I love how they just have that huge instrumental just boom, and then everything really starts. You know, it really kind of accentuates you're about to fight the big Koopa Bowser. Stravos getting that box moon very handily, going ahead and executing this blind platform. You get around this bomb section, nice and clean. That's one good thing about getting that moon. Even though it's a difficult moon to grab, as long as you get it, it kind of sets you up really nicely for getting past those bombs.
Yeah, it's still being very difficult though, as you have no control over the camera after grabbing this moon.
Yep. And we see Stravos, very nice pokey section. He's moving into the mecha fight. Now, we've seen so many leads change dramatically just due to a missed spin pound that causes someone to fall off before the third phase. And really, if you're gonna fall off the mech, you want to fall off before the second phase. That's probably the least costly place by far. If you fall off during that third phase, you have to wait for a pokey, and if you're not able to get up the platforms with that pokey, you'll end up having to do yet another bit of movement. But Stravos with this beautiful quick kill.
Yeah, so spin pounding Rango right after that, and then getting spin pound on Topper. Now we have to wait out this invincible phase of the mech here. There's no way to speed this part up because you cannot hit any of the bubbles while the mech is running around here, as he is invincible.
Yeah, the only way to speed it up is what you saw them do by standing on the forward part of the mech there and going for Harriet first. A bit faster, but also a bit riskier since Spear can be pretty difficult to hit, but Stravos proving that it's not difficult at all for him to hit, showing why he's got that amazing sum of best. Beautiful mecha fight. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better fight in a row.
Let's see if Dansta can do the same here. Looks like Dansta is going to be setting up for Harriet first as well, and then going to be going for target acquired, just like Stravos did. And landing on Spirit, just like that, getting the target attack strat.
Beautiful. And that takes some really precise timing, takes a spin pound, and if you miss it, keep in mind that the attack that the mech executes right after is that spinning attack where he throws the bomb rings. And so if you miss it a little bit, all of a sudden Spirit's like halfway across the mech away from you, and you're toast. You're having to wait for his cycle to end, wasting about a minute or more.
Yeah.
And you'd be shocked at, if you're just trying to do a jump and a normal ground pound rather than a spin pound, you'd be surprised at just how much the mech moves with each step. So Stravos, with 124 moons, going to be moving on to the actual Moon Kingdom. Now, Stravos is entering with a pretty commanding lead. Interestingly enough, we see Stravos ending the Odyssey as complete cutscene, while Dansta ending the mech cutscene to land in front of the Odyssey. So they're a full Odyssey cutscene apart at the moment. And that can change very easily. We've really got ourselves a race on our hands.
Yeah, as if you mess up like one thing in Moon, you could definitely be losing upwards of a minute or more, especially in the escape sequence.
Exactly right. Now Stravos his screen blocking at about 57:46. Let's see when Dansta's does the same to move on to the map. So let's see here. About to select Moon on the map. Stravos with some very, very nice vectoring to start off his Moon Kingdom. So, okay, Dansta at the same point at 58:22, so less than a 40-second differential between these two players. It's down to the wire at this point. Anything can happen. It is still anyone's game for sure.
Now, I would like to explain this next trick that Stravos is going to be going for here. Moon cave skip, where if you do a ground pound into two very precisely ball jumps right here, you can skip the entire moon cave, which gives about 5 minutes, which is the biggest time save for this run.
Yep, and the reason that those are so precise, if you kind of look closely when Dansta goes for it, there's kind of this L-shaped texture on the wall. There's a very small region inside of that L-shaped texture that happens to be at just the right angle, so that when you wall kick off of it, Mario's wall kick replenishes a lot quicker than it would otherwise. If they fail Moon Skip, what you'll see is they'll land a little bit lower after that first wall kick, and they won't be able to get a second wall kick in time to actually make it up. So Dansta
making the trick. In Stravos, I wanted to point out that he was going for that very sexy looking spin throw instant hat capture that I really like seeing runners go for.
Yep. I mean, Bowser obviously not having learned his lesson, you would think that after getting thrown into the spike ring on the previous arena, he'd say, you know what, I should go a little bit function over form this time, maybe remove that ring, but nope. He's giving you the tools to defeat him. Honestly, shameful. I can't excuse this. Dansta getting that spin throw, though. Very nice start to his fight. They're literally just a Bowser cycle apart at the moment.
No way to speed up this phase of the fight though, where Bowser's throwing his fire around. Just gotta jump over and wait for it to end before doing the same strats that you saw these runners do in Cloud Kingdom, where you're gonna be backflipping to instantly capture the hat.
Now Stravos going ahead and finishing out this Bowser fight, moving into the escape, and it's do or die time for him. There's a lot that can happen in this escape. Just a little bit of a flub on 2D skip can lose him a minute. Of course, during the actual pillars, there's a decent amount of RNG in which platforms fall and when, and of course you have that dreaded hole between the back left and back right pillar, which, I mean, Stravos being as high of a level runner as he is, should know that it's there and mind that gap, but, maybe he's not being the most considerate train passenger, not going to decide to mind the gap today.
Okay, we'll see what happens here with Stravos in this escape sequence here. Hopefully he's able to pull it off all clean and take home the win here. But if he's not able to pull off everything clean here, that could cost him the race.
Just narrowly getting the triple jump off of those bricks right there. A little bit of an optimization to save having to go around this little island here. And a little fun fact in case you don't know, in this section right here, you can actually increase Bowser's movement speed by holding the fire button.
Stravos getting 2D skip, making it look easy. Not going to be failing that today.
Yep, definitely kind of putting the ball in Dansta's court to just follow his lead. Stravos now with the fireball optimization. If you get the fireballs perfect here, you're able to completely skip having to do any sort of clawing on that wall there. And then now, going to be getting into the actual escape sequence with that Sonic Adventure tier music. But you know something? It works here. I always kind of cringed a little bit at the Sonic Adventure Final Boss music, but here it actually works. Kind of weird.
Now let's see if Stravos is able to get this early pillar shot we like to see here. We're spinning fireballs at this pillar, so you don't have to call it at all. Before immediately moving on to this other pillar, we're gonna have to call it about 2 or 3 times here. Moving on to this third pillar here, we're gonna be knocking down completely with fireballs, then doing the same thing for the last pillar before it moves on to the fire and finishing off the run.
Yep, and there is a decent bit of RNG here since you do have to kind of worry about the boulders falling from the ceiling. They can just completely impede your path at shooting those fireballs in, so...
I actually should correct you, those fallen balls are on the cycle actually. So the runners
really?
Yeah, so the runners know exactly where they're going to be to avoid them.
Did not know. Learning so many things about the RNG in this run today.
Yeah, the only RNG part really being the Wiggler.
Yeah, true. You got that little bit in Lake Kingdom with the Goombas on top of the platform, but usually they decide to play nice.
And Stravos taking home the W here with a time of 1:02.56. Very impressive for a race.
And especially, I mean, an impressive showing from both these guys finishing this close to each other. You've got Dansta less than a minute behind.
Yes, a very, very good and clean race from both runners here. Really no big mistake other than Lost Kingdom. Lost Kingdom being the kingdom where the runners choked up a little bit.
And, you know, it's kind of unfortunate, but I do think that Dansta getting caught by Klepto may have cost him this race. Now, we've got both these guys in this call with us now. Stravos, first off, congrats on that W, but also congrats to both of you on that gameplay. How are you feeling after that run, Strav?
I was pretty nervous, honestly. I made a lot of early game mistakes that I really wasn't thinking should happen. It kind of tilted me, honestly. I felt a little bit like the game was being unfair, you know? And I think it just kind of carried through in my gameplay a little bit more. And I ended up making some mistakes on Lost, and both of us actually making some pretty big mistakes on Lost.
Yeah, and of course, that being a bit of a hot topic in the booth, Dansta, I kind of wanted to ask, what do you think happened that caused that Klepto cutscene to activate?
I think like I was on the platform, but not as far as I should have been, and then I triggered it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's an audio cue.
Yeah,
for
I didn't
it.
listen to it at all. I was like, yeah, okay, I got it. Let's go.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that costing a fair bit of time. I mean, what was going through your head when you saw that cutscene activate? Did your heart just absolutely sink?
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is done. But it wasn't actually. It was a pretty close race, and like after Lost, I only lost 3 seconds to my PB over the whole rest of the run. So other than Lost, this was good.
Yeah, definitely very bad that both of the runners lost a bunch of time to Lost, but other than that, it was a very clean run.
My heart definitely sank in Lost because, like, again, it felt kind of unfair. My momentum on the tree just kind of stopped, and I couldn't really save it. My reaction time on that was pretty slow, anyways.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the moment where I started to get a little bit more serious. Like I calmed myself down and tried to really focus up. And for the most part, I kind of held that through for the rest of the game.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw a wonderful luncheon from both of you. We saw really stellar Metro, aside from like that bonk on top of the skyscraper and stuff like that. I mean, just exceptional gameplay. Strav, were you also kind of nervous? I noticed you having a little bit of issues after Nut Clip with that out of bounds section. Did that kind of get on your nerves a little bit as well?
No, actually, that's something that I was very calm about. I wasn't really too affected by it. Like, as long as I got Nut Clip in the first place, I know how to save it if that mistake happens. I'm practiced up with that kind of stuff, so that was really calm. I was, maybe a little bit angry that I lost like 5 seconds there, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, what can you help? And honestly, at the end of the day, you're bringing home the W, so cannot complain too much. Now, you'll be moving on in this winners bracket, while Dansta, correct me if I'm wrong, moving on down to the other elimination bracket.
Losers bracket.
I wanted to be a little bit kind with the name. I mean,
But it's
you're
called losers bracket.
true. You're definitely though. I mean, not a loser at all. I mean, 103.38 is a race time. That is impressive. There are a lot of people that would kill to have that as just a PB, much less a race time. So definitely thinking you'll be a force to be reckoned with down in that bracket. And really glad to see both of you guys moving on. Cheese James, you have any other questions for these guys before we let them loose?
No, I definitely think it was a very impressive race from both runners, though.
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
beautifully executed dram strat. Strav, how much did you have to practice that quick setup?
Snowdram, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, it's just kind of natural to me. I got that Call of Duty aim. I come from a Call of Duty background before speedrunning, so got that aim.
You got that quick scope and power. I like
Mhm.
it. Well, thanks to both of you. Amazing showing. GG's to both of you guys. And with that, I guess we'll be going ahead and letting these guys go. Don't go anywhere. We've got another Odyssey race just after this, followed by SM64. And we've just got constant races all day today. Stick around. It's going to be a great showing. Again, I'm Electric, and here with my host, Cheese James. Have a great one, and we hope you stick around.
Have a great rest of your day, guys.
And one last little point. Want to give a quick last shout out to our sponsor, Vi.gg, for making this tournament possible. I mean, they've done a lot for us, sponsoring 3 tournaments before the end of 2018. Definitely go check them out. !bet in the chat to go ahead and see a link to them. Got a lot of races today, and all of them can be bet on their site. So definitely make sure to check them out.